You're listening to World of Empowerment Radio, your station for practical spirituality in a changing world. And here are your hosts, Aingeal Rose and Ahonu.
You are very welcome. I am Ahonu, and this is my lovely Aingeal Rose. Aingeal Rose and I have just gone into the Akashic records again to ask about Part three of our exploration into how to be in the world and how we can be the best we can be to help others, and the same for you. Aingeal Rose has just mentioned to me that she has downstepped a lot of information right now, and I can't wait to hear it. But I am going to offer my little preliminary bit right now, and we'll see where it goes. So what I was getting initially was that there seems to be stuff coming downhill to us. It's like a flood that's coming downhill, and we're in the way. So it's like, and I mean collectively, I mean the world, people, humanity are in the way of this flood. And so it's affecting everybody. Everybody is getting wet, and we're all trying to cope with it. And that's the analogy of what I'm seeing. Now,
is that a literal flood?
A literal flood? No, it's an analogy. I think it's like it's that's the image that I got, was that's how we're all being affected. It's like you can't avoid it. Do you know what I mean? We're all in the way of this flood because it's coming downhill to us. Now, of course, it makes sense that if you're prepared in some way, like if you have your own boat or you have your own flotation device or whatever, you may well be able to stay on top of it. And I suspect that might be spirituality, or seeing the love in everything, like what we discovered last week. But there was one other thing that I noticed also, and that was that amongst all of this was what looked like a holly tree. And you know how at Christmas the holly berries are red. So I've seen these red berries, and as we know, the red berries, red is the color of creation, of manifestation. But I spotted a very interesting little connection between what was holly and holy, and how these holly berries are actually poisonous. You wouldn't want to eat these beautiful looking berries. And I think that is what I felt, was that was saying to me, be careful of what's being presented to you as being beautiful and attractive, and what you're eating. And again, I don't mean that literally either. What you're digesting, what you're ingesting. It's like, be careful, because it appears to be holy, but it may be actually poisonous. So that's the little snippet that I got.
It's too bad we couldn't know what you're referring to specifically with that. You know, that could be anything, really.
It could be anything. I'm going to study it a little bit more. So what did you get, Aingeal Rose?
Well, what I saw when I opened the records was beautiful emerald green light everywhere. And of course, emerald green is the light of healing. So I saw that everywhere. And then I saw a big, huge circle of white light. So I went closer to that, and it looked like it had a hole in the middle, almost as if it was some sort of a wormhole, for example. And what I was getting from Source was that it was time that we start practicing shifting into other dimensions where our higher selves are located. And I think this is interesting because it's implying that they're at a higher frequency, and that, you know, frequencies are also dimensions. So I felt myself diving into the center of this wormhole and traveling with the intention to go where my higher self is. And it felt like it was a practice that Source would like us to start doing, because it's really clear with everything it's been telling us that we need to be in a higher place in order to be able to see things correctly. All right. In other words, we have to get out of the mire of what's going on this dimension with this frequency and go above it to something higher. So, you know, when I saw myself dive through this wormhole, of course, in my mind, I was asking some questions like, well, would we get lost if we did that? And then I heard, no, not if you're making the intention to go where your higher self is. even your angelic self, because you have an angelic self, even your ascended master self. Start practicing moving into those dimensions where you can feel that frequency of what those higher parts of you feel like and what they're doing, and how our view of the world, this world, changes if we're viewing it from those higher places. So that's what it feels like is the practice. So people might say, how do you do that? It's just very easy. You just sit down or lie down on your bed as if you were going to meditate, and you close your eyes and you're making the intention that you're going to dive through a wormhole or a vortex or whatever that's going to take you to your higher self or your angelic presence. And, just to invoke the protective blue light of Christ, okay, to be with you on your journey. And just imagine that you're diving into it, and then just view where you end up. So, and I feel like it's a practice, it's a method that Source would like us to get used to doing, because we all need to get out of the mire of what's going on here and the way we're looking at it and the way we're seeing it and the contest about it and the competition about it and the who's right and who's wrong and who's more guilty and who's more innocent, and get out of this is what I hear Source saying, because we have to start feeling things from a much higher perspective and a much higher frequency in order to make it through, okay, into a new reality that is really based in love. So that's what I got.
Okay. Well, as you were speaking, it's funny, the dots got connected for me too, because when you mentioned about higher self, I immediately knew that to avoid any flood, the thing is to go to higher ground. And when you were saying go to your higher self, that's obviously what it was pointing out to me, was we all need to get to a higher place. We need to go to our higher selves. That's the thing. And then you mentioned the blue light of Christ, and that now connects the dots, because with the holly berries, this was the holy time of Christ at Christmas. And so we're being advised to connect in with that holiness of ourselves and to go above the red of humanity, go above the red of manifest creation into that higher self. That's what it means. Now, I thought also that perhaps it would be good to allay somebody's fear, who society and science perhaps has been leading us to believe that wormholes are negative. We don't know. That may or may not be the case. But in our experience, it's not. It's an entrance to a whole other reality, or as Aingeal Rose talks about, a different frequency. So let's take the fear out of that, in case anybody might have thought, oh God, these guys are asking us to go into a wormhole. There's no fear attached to this at all. Besides, it's all to do with your own intention. And Aingeal Rose was quite clear about that intention. So make sure that intention is pure and wholesome and holy, and then you'll not go wrong.
Well, and this is a white wormhole. This isn't like a black hole. It's a white wormhole. And, when I looked at it and I could see the insides, it looks like a tunnel. It's like a tunnel with grid lines all the way through it. Squares that are grid lines along the side, and you're traveling through, like you're traveling through a tunnel into another dimension. That's what it looks like. Nothing black about it or anything.
Right. Yeah.
And we're going to do it now, and we'll report to you in a few minutes.
Yeah. Okay, let's do that.
In my report, after my meditation, jumping through the wormhole into my higher self. And as I did that, I brought the blue light of Christ's protection with me. And the first thing that happened was I got this overwhelming feeling of peace and calm. It was like moving into the peace that Source first talked about. It was like moving into it in a sense of calm. So I stayed there for a few minutes, and then I noticed that my breathing was starting to change. And what I heard Source say is, yes, you have to breathe when you're in that dimension. Start to breathe as if you were doing a rebirthing breath. And let it integrate. Let that frequency come into your cells and come into your 3D, your body. And then after I did that, I saw pink light. And that was just very soft love. And what I heard was, I was asking, should I now look down at the earth from this place? And I heard, no, not yet. Just be here. Just get used to being in this space and breathing it in and letting it move through your body. But what I did hear was, we can't get out of this world situation from the level that it's at. And it doesn't matter what anybody's doing on this level, because this isn't where it can be remedied. It has to be remedied from a higher frequency. So the practice is just to practice going into the higher self, be with it. And like I said, it reminded me of when we used to do Judith Kravitz CD all the time on a rebirthing breath. We should do that again. We should play that while we're, or go into the meditation first, get to the dimension, and then, but it was like, we know how to do that breath. So just start doing that breath and let it integrate into your physical body, because you have to be raised. You have to be raised higher in order to accomplish anything. And that was what I got.
I had a very interesting experience with it. And it was like I had an option to go two ways. One was like a whirlpool in water going down, and the other seemed to be like a tornado that in a way was going up. And I kind of had this choice. And then the choice didn't matter to me. I found myself in a vortex, and I didn't know whether it was actually down whirlpool in water or whether it was an air tornado. I had no idea, except that it was twirling. And the interesting thing about it was, though, that it's like as if I had a memory loss. It's like all my memory of this present life, and not just this one, but past lives, it seemed like the memories of struggle and strife and hardship and pain and distress and all of that just was gone. And then, I suppose by way of myself trying to understand it, I felt as if, and I didn't see this now, but I felt as if I was washed up on a new earth. That was the sensation. It's like, and it was a feeling of washed up. I felt I was washed up on a new earth. Now, it felt absolutely wonderful. It felt glorious. It felt like it was a world of all possibilities. It was beautiful. It was safe. It was nurturing. It was kind. It was extraordinarily loving. That was my experience.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
You could really tell the difference, though, couldn't you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you make an intention to go to your higher self or something else?
Yes, exactly as you said.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah, with protection and without fear, with a clear intention, yeah. Okay, that's it.
This looks like
for
it's
the moment.
To be a practice until our next time.
Yeah, until the next time.
All right. So take care, everybody. Leave your comments below if you would like to, or your questions. But we'll be here.
Until next time.
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.